In this video, guys, we're going to have a bit of a deeper look at creating a list. We'll actually go through the different types of tasks. If you want something a bit quicker, I'll put a link in for the quick start video that takes about 2 minutes. So for this example, we're in List Maker with a new list, and we're just going to do some task examples, show the different types of tasks that we can use. Let's have a look at some of the options that we have available. So if we click Require Login, then anyone who wants to complete this list will need to be logged into Checkr. If we unclick this, we can share it out with anonymous users, but we can choose to ask for specific items like name, email, mobile, or some other thing that you might wish to ask for. Disable Resume Checklist is just for when we don't require a login. All it means is every time someone opens that list, it doesn't check whether they've already got a list that they want to keep completing. It's good for things like customer surveys or quick polls. Fire it up, complete a new list really quickly, and get on their way. With notifications, we can choose to have an email sent to us when somebody completes it, or we can also have an email sent to a whole bunch of other addresses, and we just add them in comma separated. For this example though, we're just going to leave these blank, and we'll have a look at the behavior when we start it. So clicking next will build the list in the background, ready for us to start adding in some tasks. So now we're ready to add some tasks. In the quick start video, I used the AI assistant to speed things up, but with this example, we're just going to go through the task types one by one, and we'll add them in, and I'll just talk a little bit about each one so that you can get an overview of the types. So the simple task type is just a checkbox that people can mark off. So you give it a title. This is really the prompt that people are going to see. So it might be something like take out the bins or check DNS records, something, whatever the task might be. With all of these, clicking not optional means that it's a required field and the person has to fill it out. Add instructions. This is basically some text that will appear below the task and gives a bit of extra information. When we click Use, we'll have our checkbox over on the side. This task list here will have all of the tasks where we can reorder them, and we can go back into them by clicking them, and that will allow us to edit the item. The little X on the side here disables the task. It doesn't delete the task because you may have historical records of that, of answers to that you want, but you just don't want to prompt anymore for new tasks of that type. So you can just disable it and people won't see that. If we click Enable, then it's back online. So we've got our checkbox. Next is the text field. So this is where we want to prompt for some text. So we want to get the user to input an answer or some feedback or something like that. So we just put something in here. And again, our options, add instructions or not optional. Notice that we've got our items here and we've got little direction arrows now. We can change the order of these as they appear to users. Next up is the rating type. So for a rating type, it's a 5-star rating where we prompt for the user to choose their selection. So one of those in there. Date. Now date has a few more options. So with a date field, we can do a date only. To do that, we just don't click the include time option. If we also want to get the time from the user, then we will click the include time, and we'll do one of those so that we can see what it looks like. So remember, we just click include time. That will prompt them for the time as well. So pop one of those in there. Now, the last two are very similar. So we'll have a look at those. So these are the choice selection and the drop-down selection. So the choice is where we want to get a selection, and it presents as radio buttons for the user. So we're going to put color in here. Now we need to add some items for them to select from. So in selections here, we can just type an item and hit enter, or click the add button and it will add it into this list here. We can remove items by clicking the little X, and we can reorder them using the arrow buttons. Now, if we want them to be able to add in their own selection, so an other option, just click include other option and the system will allow them to do that. If we don't want them to be limited to just one answer, we click allow multiple selections and we'll click use. So now we've got our color selection. We can actually add in here more items and they'll be in there ready for people to use. Now the drop down behaves exactly the same way here, but presents differently to the user in the end checklist. It will present as a drop down box. So it's your choice as to how you want to do it. There's different reasons to use each type. So we'll go some animals. And with this example, we're not going to allow them to choose multiple selections. So we'll click use. Now we've got a set of examples. So these are all saved, ready to go now. So let's go to next. Let's have a quick look at the different ways that we can share and use the checklist. So if we want to just use the checklist ourselves, we've got three options here. We can complete the checklist now. That will open the checklist up. We can click save to my in tray. This allows us to save an instance of the checklist to our in tray in Checkr so that we can complete it over there. So do a demo version. The reusable option allows us to say whether this is a once-off and when it's complete, it's removed from the inbox, or whether we can keep starting this up in our inbox. So we're going to instead choose a due date, and we're going to say we want to get this done by next week. We'll save that off, and that will be over in our inbox. The Save PDF button creates a PDF version of the checklist that we can download. So it may be that we're going offline, or we want to have some printouts of an emergency checklist or something that we want to have people have handy. Super quick way of just getting a PDF version of this checklist. To share this out, we click on the little share option, and we've got a few ways that we can share this out with people. So if we click the Create QR display, we can quickly create a QR poster to print out, ready for people to access. So if you hit download, you'll get a PDF version of that. Super handy if you want to quickly run up something like a customer survey, put it at the door as people leave, or some office maintenance checklists, or a closing up the business checklist. The next option is just to copy the URL. So you just click copy, put it in chat, in an email, on a website. I have a bunch of internal ones of these in Notion ready to go. Just a quick way of being able to access the specific version. And the other option is to share with other people within Checkr, so the other users in your organization, basically. So we select a person, add in a comment, and then we can say again whether it's reusable or a due date for this item. So they're your options for sharing and using. So let's have a look at what it's like to fill out a checklist for somebody. So here's the checklist that we created before. We notice that we've got our checkbox item. So when they check that, it saves the response in the background. We can get our text response. We can give our star rating. For date only, we can choose the date. For date and time, we can choose the date. But we can also have this little now button. We can click that and it'll get the exact time of now. Otherwise, we can choose a time from the list. With our choice option, we can choose. And remember, we allowed multiple responses for this one. And we said that we wanted to allow an other. For our drop-down, we are not allowing multiple selections, so every time we update our selection, it will just change to that selection, and we can submit. And it's easy as that. So that's creating a list, looking through the different checklist task types. We've got a few new task types that are about to be added. So we'll get some videos up for those once they go live. As always, give us some feedback. Enjoy using Checkr.